Full disclosure, the voice you are listening to now is artificially generated, brought to you by satisphonic.com. See the link in the description for more details. What company has you shocked that they have not yet gone out of business? On a Wednesday at around 2 p.m, I received a tap at my door from an elderly woman who wanted to show me a Kirby Hoover. Additionally, it appears that door-to-door salespeople will still exist in 2023. Additionally, it appears that door-to-door salespeople will still exist in 2023. It's surprisingly big in tube sales as well. Cold calling on the phone is almost dead, but if you know how to talk with people in person and aren't afraid of in-person rejection, you can do very well with door-to-door sale. It works with the really old and the really young. Just last week, my new co-worker, 21, came in saying he'd bought internet from a door-to-door doctor guy despite already having 8 months left on his current contract. That sounds about right. We had a door-to-door cable salesperson come by our house one time. I was probably 29 or 30 at the time. She looked at me, looked past me at my husband and said, "You all are millennials, right?" And we were like, "Yeah." And she went, "Well, I'm here to ask if you want directive, but obviously you don't. So, have a nice night." We had a door-to-door Ziply internet guy come up who still continues to sell to me, even after I told him we were already customers. Like, bro, I don't want your business card. You're useless to existing customers. One of those indestructible vacuums that seem to be made of cast iron and last 50 years. My mum had the same one basically my entire life. I currently have one of those piece of shit Dysons made with the most brittle, flimsiest plastic known to man. A Kirby sounds appealing. My Mile gave me her old one when it became too heavy for her. It's like 25 years old and works 100x better than any plastic piece of crap I've ever owned. There are other good, sturdy brands too that can be affordable, especially if purchased second-hand. My parents bought a used Ricker at a vacuum store and it's amazing. We all have dogs so we compare notes. That furniture store that has had the going out of business sale going on for the last 4 years. That's a whole thing. People will open a store for a year or so and run this kind of going out of business sale and make an absolute killing. Then they'll dip out and someone else will do the same thing right behind them. Actually, I was told it's an asterisk type deal. The furniture line they sell is going out of business, so they are switching lines. Their store isn't going out, but Absy Furniture is, and we are hosting their going out of business sale. This reminds me of my local harbor freight liquidation sale. Everything must go, which technically just means all of their goods are for sale in exchange for money. Yeah, everything must go kinda applies to all retail businesses. Classmates, I'm still trying to charge what you can get for free on Facebook. I'll get emails from them. John, Mike, Sarah, Amber want to see what you're up to. Well, they can all see it on Afbinsta. I haven't seen their ads in years. They were one of the big banner advertisers in the early internet. Guitar Center. I worked for them for 13 years. They were on the brink of death the whole time. I actually just bought something from them for the first time ever. Lot of workers in the store, like every debt, had somebody in it. Not that many customers though. My guess is COVID loans saved their ass. I think it was their bankruptcy filing at the end of 2020 that allowed them to shed $800 million in debt. Hitteps would W retail div conduce guitar. Center. It's bankruptcy 592,455. I worked for one of their bigger competitors for about 5 years and it felt like every week y'all were gonna implode and leave a gaping chasm in the market for us to pounce on. Sweetwater is far superior. I've had nothing but incredible experiences with them. I'm not a huge spender, but they treat me like I'm their only customer. Many businesses could take lessons from Sweetwater. If it's music related, I don't even shop around. I go straight there. All those awful kiosks in malls that sell stuff no one honestly needs, especially those guys that always want to touch your hand, can't stand them. I love those guys. Lol, I don't care. It's a sales pitch. That sweet-talking Iranian man can massage my hands and compliment my bad skin as long as once. The look on his face when I tell him I'm way too poor to buy this stuff is part of the fun, too. And now you see all the dirt was removed. All those squiggly-looking things are the dirt from your paws. So now there is no dirt in my paws in that area.
Meow! It is perfectly clean.
Clean the same area again and let's see if those squigglies show up again. Me pretend shocked face when the squigglies turn out to be part of the cream. They are shillings I had to call their bees. My wife was considering buying the squiggly removing cream. It's powdered nutshell in the cream that binds together with the friction of rubbing. Peas come what may him, if this is the same as what you're talking about, they are Israeli. I did that once as a poor college kid. This kiosk was hawking a nail filing polishing kit for something like $40 or whatever. This was over 10 years ago. I let him file my fingers on the one hand, and they looked amazing, honestly. But I kept saying I can't afford that. He kept coming down on the price, and finally he went down to $7. $7. You know what deal? It was a fancy four-sided buffer, cuticle oil, and a big container of Dead Sea moisturizer. I had the whole kit up until last year. Worth it low. I do investigation work and once got hired to go to one of them and buy all of theirs counterfeit, Bacardi branded cell phone covers. I spent a couple $100. Then they turned around and sued the kiosk for each transaction for fraudulent trademark infringement. I was fairly green at the job and was concerned that they would question me why I wanted every Bacardi cover they were selling, but the clerk could not possibly have cared less. Was the clerk an owner? If it's just some employee, I can't see them giving a damn unless they were instructed to, both from not having any skin in the game and from not realizing the liability. Clearly not the owner. I'm sure that's why he didn't care. He did ask why, and I remember telling him that I owned a bicycle courier and delivery company, and a bat was our symbol, so I wanted to get all the different covers so everybody could have one for their phone, regardless of the type of phone they had. Herbalife. Ooh. They still exist? Yep, so many complaints about Herbalife people in Rantimable, mainly their Facebook posts, but sometimes other things. McAfee. I swear those imps installed the malware themselves. McAfee is malware. TV Guide still exists, edit. I was referring to print, not the channel. I see big potential with TV Guide. They could get a lot of traffic and be an amazing source of information if their search engine didn't suck. These days, it's so annoying trying to find out what streaming service has that one TV show or movie you want to watch. TV Guide has a where to watch button where it will show you what subscription services have it and how much they cost. TV Guide, if you're reading this, fix your search engine. You can be the source of information of what and when we watch, just like your golden age again. I hope they don't, but Arizona iced tea has cost the same my whole life. Good on them. They actually just reduced the size from 23 Oz to 22s. Fortunately, the 99-cent price holds. I'm actually okay with this, to bitch. I basically have to force myself to finish that last couple ounces most times. Ale's 2022 revenue was $7.04 billion. IOL has 10,350 employees, and the revenue per employee ratio is $714,975 per. Where are they getting $7.5 billion in revenue from? There are plenty of rural areas that still rely on dial-up internet. A fair bit of them use AOL. My hometown still doesn't have anything other than dial-up available except in the middle of town. They can have Onemsties. Had no idea they were still in business. Low. At work today, I was taking a credit card payments, and after they have to put in email for a receipt, and her email was receipt and her email was come, and silently thought in my head, I still have and use my original AOL email account from the 90s. It's the one I give out online and at stores, so I'm not constantly getting spam in my real email. They are in business because of people like my mother. She still pays a monthly fee for AOL. It's not much, but still. I try to convince her she doesn't need to do that, but nothing works. So then that begs the question, what are the tank employees doing? Selling advertising on the AOL homepage for the one precious time a month that these subscribers use their desktop, maintaining second-rate products like eye protection or automated troubleshooting journalism at Engadget, TechCrunch, and a few other random property. All the mattress stores that are somehow across the street from each other and never have any customers but open new locations down the street all the time. It's actually crazy going to one. I was mattress hunting last week. While I was there for like 2 hours, 2 people showed up and purchased mattresses. One for like $2,300 and the other for just over $3,000. All were financed. Had no clue people paid that much for mattresses. As someone who used to sell mattresses at one of the largest retailers here in the US, my biggest sale was over 15. One mattress, lots of accessories. However, some can go for over 30. They are in business because of people like my mother. She still pays a monthly fee for it's not much, but still. I try to convince her she doesn't need to do that, but nothing works. Yahoo. They've been through a lot and are still staying alive. Yahoo Finance is still pretty solid for market tools compared to Google, I find. I'm still rocking my Yahoo.com email. A lot of people still use Yahoo for fantasy sports. Wells Fargo. Why anyone would still trust them with their money baffles me. I have a great story. They accepted or created a fraudulent credit application using my name. I got a credit alert saying that I had a hard inquiry from WAF, so I said, well, that wasn't me. So I called them up and started the process of disputing the hard inquiry on my credit report. I got a letter 3 days or so later saying that they couldn't open the account without me providing further information to verify my identity. 3 days after that, I got another letter from Wajilview saying that the inquiry was legitimate and wouldn't be removed. You were a victim. The 2020 Doge settlement announcement available here, and the related SEC order, which I cannot easily find on mobile due to more recent SEC orders crowding it out of search results, describes the mechanics of how it worked and how the company incentivized misconduct. It happened in 2023. Please file a complaint with the KEFB. That was because of itself initiated the application inquiry. The companies paid huge fines for opening various extra accounts, usually credit cards or loans, in customers' names without their knowledge or approval. My dad had control over his mother's finances, and one day he noticed a $10,000 withdrawal from her account by the bank, so he called them up to ask what it was about. They proudly declared they decided to invest it for her, without asking permission. He demanded they return it immediately, and they declared that they couldn't. It was in the market. They transferred him to their manager, who happily explained that it was for Grandma's benefit, and that eventually they'd give it all back. So my dad calmly explained that he's a lawyer, and that his firm would be more than happy to give him a paid leave of absence to focus full-time on fighting a slam-dunk case like this, if they didn't have the money back in the account the next day. The money was back in the next day, and by Friday, Dad had moved the money to a new account at another bank and closed the old one. I work in the investment industry, and the idea of just randomly taking an investor's money right out of their account and investing it for them is completely unfathomable, and you'd be absolutely destroyed in an audit situation if that particular transaction was chosen as a sample. What in the actual fuck? Like someone else said, Wells Fargo wastes a criminal enterprise with a banking license. I will never let that company near my money ever again. They straight up stole money out of my account, hoping I wouldn't notice. When I did, they gladly refunded me, but how many tens of thousands of people didn't? Wells Fargo isn't a bank, it's a criminal organization. With me, they reorganized the daily charges, largest to smallest, so they could extract the highest number of NSF fees from my account if I was short. So if I went about my day spending a few bucks here and there, then at the end of the day I made a large purchase, they would rearrange the charge order so the largest charge was processed first. This would mean that I would go from 1 NSF fee to possibly 10. This was back when I was younger and living paycheck to paycheck. All big banks did this until it was federally addressed. Sleazy, for sure, but very common. I can't believe people didn't leave in droves after it was found out they were opening up new accounts under customers' names to boost their numbers. There was a guy a couple days ago who said his brother owed some fees, so they took it out of his account because they knew he was related. Scum of the earth company. Those adult video stores. There's one of those at the toxic border on I-35. The parking lot always has cars in it. I don't get it. W's adult video. Yes, the first thing you see when you pass from Oklahoma into Texas is that adult video at Toro. Conversely, the first thing you see when you pass from Texas into Oklahoma is the giant Windstar World Casino Hotel. Neither is legal in the other state. There is actually an old-time movie rental shop in my neighborhood. In 2023, I'm pretty sure it is a porn storage off booth, and they just use movie rental as a business front, but I'm amazed that the place is still in operation after all these years. How rural are you? Video stores can survive in places that can't get broadband internet. Counting the days for LuLaRoe to call it quits. It feels like they have been saying Claire's is on the edge of bankruptcy for 20 years. Pretty sure Sears is still holding on. Down to only 11 locations left, with plans to close 5 of them by 2025. I went to a Sears store several years ago when I ripped my pants on a trip. They tried to sell me a credit card. I said, where would I use it? Fun fact, Discover Card was a credit card started by Sears in 1985. It is absolutely bonkers to me that Sears sat there with its catalog business and nationwide distribution network already in place and let Amazon and the internet eat its lunch. Right? I just pointed out a closed Sears location to my wife the other day, which got me talking about how indispensable they were years ago. They were the Walmart, Amazon, Home Depot, and Cabela's of the day, and all at once. That company was run by a real moron, or several morons to lose so much over the years. I've been in Sears homes, fired Sears guns, owned countless Craftsman, power and hand tools, and Kenmore appliances, grew up in Toughskins pants, and had a few family portraits taken at Sears. Unreal how they fell. Mary Kay. Mary Kay is a massive business. I also wonder how they survive, but there's a ton of scholarships and research they sponsor in the cosmetic science community. They have a big pull, them and Amway. Fuck Ticketmaster. I'm shocked a competitor hasn't reared its head. Axe is making a surge in popularity in the venues around my city. Of course, the big stadiums only use Ticketmaster, but it's nice to see some smaller venues not using them. Edit. Dang, I learned a lot of disappointing news about Axe through the comments. Thanks for giving me some new info, even if it's a bummer to hear. Kohl's. Don't get me wrong, I love my Kohl's, but every time I go in there, it feels like 90% of the shoppers that are just there to return their Amazon package. Kohl's does have some pretty good stuff, so I do hope they stay in business, mostly because they are just so convenient for return. Chuck E. Cheese's lost its heyday years ago. Business sucks. Shows aren't that good. Animatronics mostly gone at this point. And debt. Lots of it. Surprised they're still around even though they just filed for bankruptcy 3 years ago. I remember they were requiring me to have a bachelor's degree for 11 an hour. To do what? My daughter got invited to a birthday party at our local Chuck E. Cheese, and I was disgusted by the idea based on the experiences of my youth. It actually turned out to be a decent place. Still a kid casino, but it wasn't the shithole establishment I remember. Macy's one of my favorite stores, but it gets pretty depressing to shop there. You see maybe like 2 employees on the entire floor. Products are often never organized and the fitting rooms are even worse. Clothes just dropped on the floor, and no one ever checks how many clothes you go in with or what you truly do inside. Some Macy's are better, but many are really bad. Feels like a complete ghost town. Back in the day, we would go to the big city just to walk through Macy's, especially at Christmas time. They would do the entire store up in beautiful Christmas decorations. Salespeople would be everywhere, smiling. People shopping everywhere. It was awesome. The Chinese buffet across the parking lot from the coffee shop where I work. My boss saw them defrosting fish fillets on the roof of a car once, directly on the car. I don't know how many times we've had to call the health department on them. They leave the dumpsters looking like a war crime, too. Edible arrangements. I'm convinced this company survives on one-time orders that are for the hell of it, not actual repeat customers. They are somehow an incredibly successful business. I remember seeing some stat about how they were opening stores in 14 new countries around the time GM needed a bailout. Something about arrangements of fruit is apparently universal. Also, I order at least 2 a year because my mom loves them, and I love my mom. I have received at least 10 of these over the last few years, and I always feel that the people who send them to me really understand who I am as a person. Lol. Flowers are pretty and all, but something pretty, edible, uncovered, and chocolate. Now we're talking. Burlington. Place is basically Goodwill with clothes people haven't worn yet. I'm convinced that when the nuclear apocalypse finally happens, there will only be 2 things left on this earth: cockroaches and frontier communications. KFC. They lowered their quality so much I can't eat there. ATA. I've never had this many responses. Wah. I actually have a Colonel Sanders tattoo, so you can say I'm a fan. I'm really a fan of the man himself. He failed over and over and died a household name. Look him up. It's a cool story. I'm fascinated that this seems like a us-only thing. I'm going to have to do some traveling. Anyone want me to donate to my travel fund? Jake, I'll start saving. To the people in charge of KFC, give the people what they want and make KFC great again. Applebee's. Why are people going there? Why are people working there? LOL, the all-you-can-eat and the dollar margaritas they constantly have going on is very appealing in today's economy, I guess. Okay, I live in Ma, where it's illegal for restaurants bars to discount alcohol. Most happy hours around here are half-priced apps only, so I had no idea that the dollar margaritas was such a big Applebee's selling point. And I'm even more confused now that there are apparently 24 Applebee's in Ma.
How in the hell are they staying open?
Honestly, the value for this type of establishment is surging back. Fast food prices are literally insane right now. Would you rather spend $12 for a Big Mac meal or practically the same price for Applebee's Killies? If I've got $12 in my pocket, that's a no-brainer. British chain, Frankie and Benny's. Shockingly bad food, cooked by people unfamiliar with the concept of taste, in the kind of atmosphere you expect from a motorway services, all for the bargain price of a lot of money. So many casual dining chains have gone under over the last few years. How the fuck was Frankie and Benny's not one of them? LOL, the all-you-can-eat and the dollar margaritas they constantly have going on is very appealing in today's economy, I guess. Tim Hortons. It used to sell decent fare, but they expanded their selection of food in 2006, got bought out and took an absolute nosedive in food quality. The only people who seem to like it are younger Canadians with no memory of the before times and newcomers to the country. Cart and Sears. They're on their last leg and I'm going to be sad for them to go, but how there's still 2 Kmarts left and a couple dozen Sears left is shocking. Sears could have been what Amazon is now. They had warehousing, print catalogs, name recognition, distribution, vendor suppliers. Another thing Sears had was fools at the top. Redbox.